It's week 18 of the 52-week art journal journey, and we are going to have some fun. You'll need your watercolor or acrylic paints, some water, a whitish flat paintbrush to lay down some water on your paper. Other things I used are plastic wrap, table salt, a bit coarser kosher salt, and aluminum foil. If you're new here and want to start by making your journal and this journey your own, check out the week 1 prompt. It will give you a better idea of what we're doing here. You can find the link in the description. I've played a bit with watercolor and salt before, but never plastic wrap, though I've wanted to. I'd started a couple different small art projects for this week, but they just hadn't taken off for me. When one of my study buddies from Stacy Bloomfield's Leverage Your Art mentioned both of those, I thought this would be the perfect time to experiment and invite you along for the ride. I played around with various techniques, and you can watch and decide which to try. I started off with plastic wrap, and instead of watercolor paint, I chose to use acrylics on water instead. I laid down a sheet of newsprint, previously used to protect my counter from paint, then remembered, as I rarely do, to put paper beneath the page I'm working on to protect the rest of the journal. Don't forget that if you want to be able to do your journaling while your paint is wet, make sure your small art is on the left side page if you're right-handed, and the right side page, the usual page, if you're left-handed. I put down a layer of clean water, as I would for a watercolor wash, then dropped on some acrylic paint. I had Lake Ontario on my mind, so I chose lakey colors, particularly the atypical shades of Robert Whaley State Park, one of my favorite places. I've been playing with metallics lately, so threw in some silver too. Then I lay a piece of plastic wrap on top, not smoothly. After I set my plastic wrap experiment aside, I got out the salt and some watercolor paper to keep experimenting. The start is the same, a layer of water and an acrylic wash. I then sprinkled on table salt. I decided to use the coarser kosher salt on the same piece. If you try out the effects you can create with salt, it will also have to be set aside to dry. I let both my plastic wrap and salt dry overnight. I've tried rolling crumpled rolls of aluminum foil across wet paint before with limited success, but decided to try that and balls of aluminum foil next. Yeah, not so great with the wetter, runnier paint, but it still had interesting results. So, although it didn't work quite like it's supposedly supposed to, it can't be considered a fail. Not just because I like how it turned out, but also because I learned and had fun. And fun is what this week's art and journaling are about. As I mentioned, your paint is going to have to dry. If you have time to experiment with multiple techniques, you may have to bring in extra paper, as I did. If you bought the 3-pack I recommended, you could be working in multiple journals if you want. Whatever you decide to do, however many pieces you play with over the week, you want your paint to be completely dry before you peel off plastic wrap or brush off salt. As things dry, let's consider fun for this week's journaling. What do you like to do for fun? I know this can be a tricky question when you're struggling with depression or even stressed from too much busyness. But there are things you've found fun, even if you can't find them interesting right now. Or if you feel like taking the time for just fun is a waste of time. If you're stuck in either of those, I am so glad you've turned up here and have made it this far through our prompt. You need some time to just playfully make and consider the things that light you up. We need that release, and we need things like that to look forward to. So, what's fun to you? And what about it do you enjoy? I find this art play fun, and in a different way, light hiking. Both of these feed something in me that needs to be fed. I have fun making art with my art journaling group at the library. We need things we enjoy on our own and things we enjoy with others to be healthy. We are not one-dimensional, and neither is mental health. We need to pursue healing and recovery and maintenance of our mental health by nurturing all aspects of ourselves: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and creative. Have some fun. Write about what's fun, which I hope will help you see that making and taking the time for things you enjoy is important. When I Googled fun, the result it gave me was from Oxford Languages: enjoyment, amusement, or light-hearted pleasure. Light-hearted. This week, I pray you're blessed with many moments that lift your heart, particularly if you're struggling or sinking or feeling crushed by the weight of a heavy heart. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate the opportunity to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and establish a healthy habit of creative self-care through art journaling. I'll be back next week with another prompt. In the meantime, check out the links in the description and enjoy having fun with watery paint techniques.